There is confirmation. England are through to the World Cup, 7 points clear of Albania, 8 points clear of Serbia. And so with a perfect record, 6 wins, 18 goals, 0 goals against in qualifying. They make it look absolutely easy. Harry Kane with the brace today, Anthony Gordon and Eberechi Eze as well with goals for England. But this is a different side under Thomas Tuchel, but qualifying with the minimum of fuss that you would expect in this group.
Yeah, I think it was important for Thomas Tuchel to qualify with ease, make it look easy, obviously to calm the nerves of everyone who's maybe got lower expectation of this England national team now going into this World Cup, Chris. I don't hear many people out there talking about England potentially winning the World Cup. I don't even hear the English fans actually talking up the fact that England should win this World Cup. But if you actually look at the way they've qualified, some new players coming into it, including Elliot Anderson, who was once again excellent for England today. He's a talented player in that midfield area, but they got quality in the offensive ranks as well. Now, the one position I was always intrigued in as to where they could be really good in would be maybe that number 10 position. Who's going to be the player to step into that slot and potentially grab it from Thomas Tuchel? Because he's handing every single English player out there the opportunity to say, you want to play in this 11 for me at a World Cup? You've got your opportunity. Everyone's on a clean slate. And I think Rodgers is really stepping up and taking a great opportunity right there in that number 10 position. Even though it wasn't his best performance, certainly throughout this qualification process, England, they're just making it look easy. And when you've got Kane up front banging in the goals, why wouldn't it be?
You said that you haven't heard England fans mention themselves as potential World Cup favorites. Just give them time. There's 8 months before the World Cup. We will be hearing. And so I guess I'll ask you that question. Where do you have England among the favorites? Now that we know that they will be going, then this is the time to start talking about it. How do you see England within the context of the favorites to win the World Cup? According to the bookmakers, they're joint second favorites, along with France, Spain obviously being the favorites to go and win it.
Well, listen, they got a goal scorer. All right, he's all-time leading England goal scorer. He's playing and enjoying his football in foreign territory now in Germany and enjoying himself. Obviously extending his all-time scoring record right now with what he's done, 76 goals now for England. They've got some players coming into the ranks, and including Anthony Gordon, who got the opening goal in this game, really stepping up to the forefront and grabbing his opportunity to be an England international, especially in the major competition. I think Eze, another one who's really come out there and shown us exactly how good his quality is when he comes onto the field. He's a dangerous player. But England have got room for improvement. Let's make no mistake about it. It wasn't by far the most entertaining qualification phase that we've seen. So that kind of excites me. The fact that they didn't concede a goal throughout this qualification process is outstanding. That's excellent. Defensively, they needed to improve. I think the question marks going into this tenure under Thomas Tuchel was, can you do something with this backline? Because they've been conceding goals. They look vulnerable. Who's going to be there? Stones and Konsa getting the nod in this game, but they've really shut up shop defensively, and with Pickford in between the sticks, that's where I see England's success coming from. I honestly believe that Kane will score goals at this World Cup. I really believe that. You've got Saka creativity-wise. You've got Gordon creativity-wise. I think Bellingham will come back into this lineup, but Rodgers has been really exciting. What's not to love about England right now? It's hard for anyone who sounds like this with an accent like this to say, what's not to love about this England team? But really, they're actually trending in a really good direction under Thomas Tuchel, and they deserve to be one of the favourites to lift the trophy. But I don't think any England fans talking about it too highly right now, because they're playing the calm game. They're playing the patience game.
If I were to say one thing that maybe you don't like about this England team, I worry about one thing for England next summer. It's one word: heat. I am concerned that the conditions will play too big of a role, an outsized role. We saw it at the Club World Cup this summer with the way that some of the media and some of the fans and some of the players talked about playing at MetLife in the summer and a 3 o'clock kickoff and the weather delay issues that they had in Charlotte in the Club World Cup. These sorts of things are going to happen. It's going to be very hot during an American summer. You're going to be playing at times during the day. And I feel like if there's one nation where the conditions will play an outsized role in how they talk about the games and how they feel about the games, I think it will be England. I think there is a psychological hurdle for them to overcome next summer because, you know, the journalists are going to write about it because they're going to be experiencing the heat. The players will be talking about it. Thomas Tuchel, I think psychologically for the team, will have to downplay the significance of the conditions at next summer's World Cup because we know how much English people like to talk about heat. I always laugh whenever I've heard coverage of the FA Cup final, for instance, usually played in late May. And every once in a while I'll turn on the BBC or TalkSport or whatever, and you hear the radio host going, Oh, it's a hot one today. It's a scorcher today, Wembley. I open up my phone. It's 76 degrees at Wembley. And like for an American, that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. And so I think conditions are something that the English will talk about. And I think if there is something that will slow them down, I think it's the World Cup being played in the United States and being played in hot conditions.
Yeah, listen, it's always going to be a stumbling block for the English. There's no doubt about it. But let's not forget, the English love a vacation, right? You know, the first one's throwing the towels out there. There's a battle on that regard. Listen, I think England travel well with their supporters. I think England players now are a little bit more open to what can happen when it comes to playing in difficult weather conditions. Obviously, you don't experience that in the UEFA qualification process. Now you've got to qualify out your group now with maybe a few more easier games throughout the group. I think England will actually come over incredibly early to try and get accustomed to the time zone, to get accustomed to the humidity, to get accustomed to the weather, wherever they're based. I mean, if it's obviously the West Coast and certain dry states, you've got a bit of luck and fortune. If it's Mexico City, it may be a little bit more difficult with the altitude. But you know, we said the same thing going all the way back through '86 when they played in Mexico. England will struggle, but they still actually went on to have an incredibly good World Cup then. We said the same thing in '90. Italy, going to Italy from England. Oh, it'll be really difficult. And okay, they stumbled at the final hurdle, but they really do a great job in preparation, the English FA. And I think that Thomas Tuchel, you know, for him, with his first real rodeo in the national team, he's got to get this right. So it's a great point you bring up there. This is not just about England struggling in weather conditions. This is about the decision-making on and off the field for the English FA and that man, Thomas Tuchel.
And let's talk about some of that decision-making, because the big talking point in England throughout this international window is the fact that Jude Bellingham is not there, and that the squad didn't really change that much from the last window to this one, even though players like Phil Foden and Jack Grealish have discovered their form. How difficult is the job going to be for Thomas Tuchel to pick 23, or if it's 26 like the last World Cup, 26 players for the tournament, when you know that no matter who you leave at home, the conversation will be often about who is not playing, just because of the surplus of talent that England have?
I had a great opportunity to listen to a speech from a former CEO from PSV Eindhoven recently, and he amazingly talked to open, and really the discussion was fascinating, about having no emotion connected to players. And to me, that's what Thomas Tuchel is. Okay, he needs to get the best performance out of players and they need to buy into him. But Thomas Tuchel is quite hard when it comes to decision-making. He's not frightened, okay? He's had very good success when it comes to the club level, but he's going to have to do very difficult things when it comes to the national team. Letting players down on a weekend match day when you're playing for Chelsea or PSG is one thing. Letting a player down when it comes to competing in a World Cup, that's something completely different. That hits a little bit harder. So I think emotional, he's going to have to deal with that. But it opened up my eyes listening to that CEO talk about the fact that sometimes players can be just numbers as to how you can get your success at the end of the day. And that's the way sometimes coaches are going to have to view it. There's going to be 30, 40 players fighting to get into that England squad. And I think they've got enough talent that could potentially get into that roster that will travel. But that's not going to be easy for any manager, for any association. Now getting to this World Cup is one thing. Actually picking the roster is going to be even more difficult.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge, and the Bellingham story is a fascinating one, because obviously he is probably the biggest talent in the England squad right now.
I'm going to jump in real quickly and just get to my point about that one. I think Jude Bellingham in particular, we're looking at it one way, and we were talking off camera, and this could be maybe a slap in the face and a warning to Jude Bellingham. Get your form, get healthy, get playing. You've got to earn your place back now in this England national team. Or this is genius-like from Thomas Tuchel. Because Thomas Tuchel didn't really need Jude Bellingham to come back in this international break and potentially
win away at Latvia, yeah.
Yeah, and the games are relatively easy, but he didn't really need to have him there, right? So he could have given him the opportunity to just rest, recover, because these players between now and the end of the season with their domestic clubs are not going to get much rest. So I think he's genius-like. That's the way I'm leaning right now. He's going to try and do this with multiple players, maybe even Harry Kane as well. Now you're qualified, no need to bring everybody into camp.